Although much attention is currently given to the importance of reading fluency, the emphasis is often limited to measuring accuracy and rate. But fluent reading is not merely a product of reading, but a contributor to reading proficiency. Researchers have found a close relationship between fluency and reading comprehension. Consider the difference between two readers as they read the same text.
My dog Willie likes to eat breakfast.
My dog Willie likes to eat breakfast.
In addition to speed and word recognition, fluent reading involves expression, appropriate phrasing, and intonation.
Good night, Space Boy. Sleep tight, she said.
Pete had a big drum. Mary had a big trumpet. And Titch had a little wooden whistle. And Titch's seed grew and grew and grew.
Oh my goodness, it did.
An important feature of fluent reading is phrasing. When readers pause appropriately between phrases, clauses, and sentences, they can access language structure units that support the meaning of the text.
Oh no, Mom, called Zach. The baby is crying again. Is he hungry again?
I'm hungry, said the frog. I'm starving, said the bee. And the big brown beetle said, what about me?
These teachers are thinking about what contributes to a child's phrased and fluent reading.
Well, I know that you've been thinking really hard about working with your students to help them become phrased in their fluent reading. What are some things that you think about, let's say, when selecting a book to foster that?
Well, one of the very first things I think about is the child's interest, their background knowledge, their life experiences, because I want to make sure that I'm choosing a book that they can relate to, that they understand the message of the text, so that as they're reading, their phrasing and fluency kind of follows along because they understand what's happening in the story.
You know, and something else that I like to think about with my children is their oral language. You know, in my conversations with them, what am I noticing about their language structures? And to really be thinking about that as far as book selection.
I want to be a careful observer of what the child knows. I mean, it's my job as their teacher to know what they know, and not just in terms of their oral language, but also in terms of letters and words, and do they understand how books work? Do they understand the punctuation marks, like when someone's talking, or the places where your voices stop when you're reading?
So, phrasing in fluent reading is influenced by a child's prior knowledge, control of oral language structures, and ability to recognize and quickly use visual information in print, such as words and letter clusters. What can teachers do to help children put all these sources of information together for phrased and fluent reading?
So Sherry, where do you tend to notice that your children are sounding phrased and that the fluency is coming along?
The best place for me to notice that is in their familiar reading. You know, these are books that they've seen before, books that they love, books that they've worked out all the tough stuff, you know, and so that frees them up to kind of experiment with how their reading sounds.
And it's important that they can monitor on how their reading sounds, isn't it?
I got a plastic pool for my birthday. If you wait a minute, I'll show you what's in it.
Awesome job. You made it sound like talking. Great job.
Effective teachers also understand the importance of selecting and introducing books that will support a child's phrased and fluent reading.
Am I selecting books that fit their natural language, or is it going to be too much of a stretch? Because if it's too much of a stretch, it won't come easy for the child as far as putting it together to sound phrased and fluent. You know, in thinking about selecting books that with the goal of them sounding phrased and fluent, those are some other things we have to think about. You know, are there a lot of unknown words in this book? Are there going to be enough words that the child knows and feels comfortable with that can help move them along?
A brief introduction to new books also supports phrased and fluent reading. The teacher can make the children familiar with the story or plot, as well as unusual language structures, names, and new words. And teachers can support phrased and fluent reading by demonstration and prompting.
Oh no,
Oh
Mom.
no. Oh,
Put it together. It's okay.
oh no, Mom cried Zach. The baby is crying again.
Good job.
It's a good thing I can read to myself, said Space Boy.
Put this together.
It's
a good thing
I can read to myself, said Space Boy.
You're really good at listening to how you sound, like talking.
This is not a stopping place, but it is a slowing down place. Watch what Mrs. Shaw puts here. So we're not stopping, but we're gonna slow down. That's a comma.
As they attempt to solve problems while reading, flexible readers adjust their speed to suit demands of the text. They slow down when working through things and speed it back up. And they are fast with the things they know.
Miss Lee said to her class, "It's time to go to the swimming pool." "I don't want to go swimming," said Yasmin. I don't like the cold water," but she had to go with the class.
To monitor a child's progress, teachers can record how the child's reading sounded on the running record form. Did the reading sound like talking? Is the reader learning how to pause appropriately, read in phrases, and use punctuation, pitch, and stress to get the message? And are these behaviors flexible and changing over time? In summary, fluent reading involves putting all sources of information, meaning, language structures, and print knowledge together in an integrated and flexible manner to comprehend text. When this happens, phrased and fluent reading is not simply a product of reading, but a major contributor to reading proficiency.